Welcome to my channel. This is Bible BPM with another episode. So today we have a small interview with President Traore from Burkina Faso, where we go to Russia and go on an interview. I want to listen keenly upon the key things that we actually talk about, like mining, gold, education, technology, and all it more things. And we show gratitude to Russia too, which is a good thing. So I want to just take you in a video and just comment and tell me what you think about this. So stay tuned.
So that young Africans understand, because there are still many who are asleep and continue to speak on behalf of the imperialists. Whatever they're told to say, they do it. Maybe it's because, well, they're given something, I don't know. But Africans need to understand their history and wake up. So that's our fight as well. My biggest regret is having spent a good part of my youth listening to radio stations like RFI and France 24. I've been in countries where those radio stations were shut down. But we would use apps to record their news broadcasts so we could listen. But at some point, something clicked. I started to realize that they were conditioning our minds to accept what they wanted. It's their narrative that they want us to learn. And since then, I've started to see things for what they are. And I understood that what they're doing is very dangerous. And today, more than ever, I realize that they have conditioned the minds, especially of Africans. So you can play a big role in awakening the consciousness of young people so that people understand how the world works and don't let themselves be led astray by those people. When we watch the parade of the machines that won the war, that is the T-34s up to the modern vehicles, it shows us the technological evolution of the Russian army. And it inspires us as well to get to work so that we can develop in the same direction. Relations are going very well. And I can say that for the past 2 years now, things have started off very well. And we are working on deepening the areas of defense and security, but also education and later on the commercial sector and other aspects. So we have staggered the different areas so that we can exchange a lot and share many experiences, because we also have a lot to learn from Russia in the field of education, especially in the sciences. Now, it must be said that up to today, gold is the main export product in Burkina Faso. But we have set agriculture in motion, first for self-sufficiency, but also for foreign trade and export. The terrorists are reinforced by many foreign fighters who come from elsewhere, who are not, in fact. If I take the case of Burkina Faso, there are many criminals in Burkina Faso, but they are not Burkinabe. There are also trainers who come from many countries to teach them a lot of techniques.
But what is their interest?
It's not really terrorism, it's imperialism. Their goal is to keep us in a state of permanent war, so that we cannot develop and so they can continue to plunder our resources. So they have every interest in bringing in specialists in mines to lay various types of mines and explosives experts. Today, the terrorists use drones to fight and everything. So these are professionals from certain countries who come to teach them all of this. All of this is to keep us in a state of insecurity. But we are aware of the situation. We adapt each time to their methods of operation, and we will continue the fight until we have recovered the entirety of the Sahel. So all the countries that are fighting today for their more economic independence, we are trying to collaborate better with these countries, because it is a form of oppression by imperialism. It is necessary for those who are oppressed to unite in order to confront this hegemony. So we are moving forward gradually. There are many structures to put in place, and there are many areas that need to be upgraded in the three countries. Because, as you know, from an economic standpoint, we are not at the same level, and from a military perspective, there are many aspects to consider. We need to try to balance things out. And so, this requires the establishment of many structures and numerous meetings. And free movement requires a certain number of parameters to be put together. You must have seen that we did a lot of work to come up with a single security document for travel and everything. So it's evolving and things are going very well. I think they themselves contributed to diminishing their own influence because they have a paternalistic view of our relationship. You see, whenever you look at everything we do, every initiative we take, it's always about Russia. Someone speaks and they say they're influenced by Russia. Everything that happens, it's Russia. Why do they have their eyes closed like that? So Africans aren't capable of developing anything. Africans aren't capable of inventing, innovating, or taking initiatives. That's what we're fighting against. And look at their speeches. Look at their speeches. Even the French president, always in his speeches, says that young Africans are influenced by Russia. It said, and if you listen to Western media, they spend all their time lying. And look today, the AES, which is a model that's starting to take shape, they can't go a single day without talking about Burkina or the AES. It's impossible for them. And every time they try to spread information, to divide, to manipulate the youth. But it doesn't work anymore. I think people are aware enough. Now people have their eyes open. Through communication, they managed to rewrite history. And as for African history, they schemed everything to spread lies. As a result, some young Africans don't even know the history of Africa or what Africa has accomplished. Some don't even know that our grandparents fought, were put on the front lines as cannon fodder. And when they returned, they were killed like animals. Do people know that when France tested its first atomic bomb, it was black soldiers they placed nearby in the blast radius to see what would happen? Let's bring out the archives. Everything they've used against Africa is terrible. So all of this needs to be communicated so that young Africans understand, because there are still many who are asleep and continue to speak on behalf of the imperialists. Whatever they're told to say, they do it. Maybe it's because, well, they're given something, I don't know. But Africans need to understand their history and wake up. So that's our fight as well. My biggest regret is having spent a good part of my youth listening to radio stations like RFI and France 24. I've been in countries where those radio stations were shut down. But we would use apps to record their news broadcasts so we could listen. But at some point, something clicked. I started to realize